Hello, good evening. Hi, Kara.
Hello, Jean. We are live now.
Oh, hello. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. How's your day?
Quite good. It's a quite a long day, but it's a good day.
Right, right. You just came back from Japan, is it?
Oh, I was in Vietnam about 2 weeks ago. That's why we missed last week. Uh,
Uh,
I went to try and run a marathon. Try lah,
oh,
because
okay. How many km you did? How many kms?
I think I did until like 20 something. Then I made a wrong turn. Then end up
Ah,
far distance and then come back. Then missed the time. It's a whole drama. But yeah, I'm glad I did it. I still tried it. Yeah.
okay, okay, that's good. Glad that you survived. Okay, so
I
we have someone tuned in already. Hi Renee. Hi Claudia. Nice to see you. Hi Eric. Nice to see you. Good evening, everyone. Okay, so so while waiting for everyone to tune in, I appreciate if you guys can just help me to say hello to Haojun, our featured speaker for tonight. And please help me to click like and subscribe as well and push on the notification button so you can get instant updates whenever we go live. So today, we are doing our Affinity live stream once again, and so I'm not sure how many more rounds I can do this live stream because it's actually quite tiring. Same for the trainers as well, physically and mentally tired. But we really want to endure this and stay true because our one objective is just to build a lifelong learning community and also to give everyone a chance to interact with our seasoned trainers, industry veterans in different aspects of topics like for example, Haojun, he's very well versed in the use of AI. And please, I would appreciate your focus for this 1 hour because he will have a lot of things to share. And I believe it's all the trending topics and tips that you cannot find elsewhere. Yeah. So, Haojun, so far, I think we have done quite a few episodes, right? So
yeah,
we did
of
the
my
retirement. Yeah, so we shared about the retirement tool, we shared about the insurance comparison tool, and then we also shared about how to use Claude AI to do the financial health scorecard. So today, we are going to talk about how to build what is
portfolio
that? The
management.
portfolio risk assessment using Claude AI. Yeah. So just while waiting for others to tune in, I'm just curious.
Mm.
What is your biggest struggle when you use Claude AI to do all these
And
apps? Mm,
I think that is I really like the question, like what's the biggest struggle? It's very easy to use, so it's very easy to get sucked into it and then just keep doing and then kind of lose sight. So actually, ironically, the easiest thing is to lose control and then just completely lose idea of what you want to do in the first place. I think that's the biggest challenge I have.
mm,
It's not difficult to use, frankly, I think you and I, we've done this. This is the fourth time.
mm.
My fourth time, but I think it's your what,
10th
11 or 12, 10,
10
10,
to 11.
yeah.
Mm.
So
Uh,
actually, thanks for like journeying with me and the other two trainers to actually do this. I actually really appreciate that. But
mm,
coming back to Claude, right, it's not difficult to use, but it's really easy to have a very powerful tool. It's like having a very fast car. But if you don't know where your
mm,
destination is, if you don't know which highway to take, then you might still end up a lot of roadblocks. That's my experience. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay, so thank you for sharing. So as when you are ready, the mic is yours, and let's endure for
Okay.
the next 1 hour. Let's enjoy for the next one
Okay,
hour. Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
So I'm gonna talk about the building of a portfolio risk assessment tool today. But again, like the previous times, maybe just a quick mention, right? A lot of the content I am trying to do here, I'm also coming in from a non-expert. I'm not a financial advisor expert. I am not someone who is a developer even, right? But I'm coming in having learned something which is very useful, and I think once I have started using this tool, it became a lot easier for me to be able to learn new things. So I actually, for example, in preparing for this series of talks, I've also started to teach myself how to work with different financial tools. I've also started talking to financial advisors. So I think this is the part where you talk about if if you look at some of the studies about AI, people say that using ChatGPT, I become dumber. I'm not as smart. I don't think as much. Um, that's definitely the case for a lot of the things that I don't want to think too much about. But for the things I want to learn about, like for example, what we are doing tonight, right? I end up learning more because it's a lot faster. I don't have to wait for the knowledge. And I'm going to start sharing my screen now, and you'll start to see what I mean here. Tonight, right, for the purpose of this evening, I'm trying to see how can I make something that's useful for the financial advisor who is advising people on how to manage the risk within their portfolio. Given the current climate, with the Iran war going on, Iran war going on, I think it's quite important to think about how to rebalance the portfolio in the coming days as inflation comes, as fear, greed, all that will start to creep in, right? I think it's very important to learn how to balance that. And so when I think about it in that very real current day context, I realized that, hey, actually, I don't know where to start. So I asked Claude lah. So for me, I actually went to ask Claude, what is a portfolio risk assessment philosophy? And in that, right, it actually gave me three philosophies. So this is something that I guess it's a factor of asking a good question, and then you get good answers. Because if you put in a poor question, then obviously you're not going to get a good answer. And the slides are all, by the way, all done by Claude. Right? So later I can show how that works. But I thought that before I go and jump into Claude, which once I go and start using it, I know I get very excited. I thought I wanted to maybe just really focus on the portfolio risk tool, the thinking behind it, and then later we'll build it together for maybe a half an hour. Right. So coming back to this again, non-expert. So I asked Claude, what are some of the ways that people think about it? How was the financial thinking behind the tool? What's the theory? What's the process? I actually also had the benefit of talking to another trainer. He's likely to join me to run a training course in the next few months, looking at exactly this idea about how can a tool be used to communicate portfolio balancing, what are some of the philosophies behind an advisor's thinking, right? If a financial advisor's is a bit by instinct, they think a bit more long term. They may think a bit more like backward and then forward at the same time, meaning they look at past data as well as the future. That's two different philosophies. Someone who's just thinking forward, someone who's thinking back and forward. They will use very different time frames, right? Some of the tools will still be the same, as you'll see later. We talk about simulations, Monte Carlo simulations, for example. Basically giving parameters, you calculate all this spread of possibilities, right? So I remember this conversation with the financial advisor friend, who also knows Kyra quite well. And he's saying that every time he used to do that, it used to be a big Excel spreadsheet. It's a lot of work to build it. And over time, you try to refine the thinking behind it. You want to test your thinking in the real world, refine the Excel spreadsheet, maybe change the parameters, change the formula, go back and do it again. And over many years, that becomes your brain, right? That becomes your philosophy. Today, you don't have to put in the same years of training. You still have to put in the years of work, but the Excel spreadsheet doesn't break down every time because now you're using an AI tool that's a bit more stable. You can now focus very easily on the philosophy and try to understand that part. And I can see that someone has just responded. Sheila, yes, yeah, maybe I agree with that point that it's very easy to lose focus when you use AI. You can get sucked into it. And just a quick hello to everyone. I'm looking at I have another computer screen over here. Claudia, Rainy, and Eric, thanks for joining. Thanks a lot for joining. So coming back to this one, by the way, I get two screens, so sometimes I might get a bit lost in my focus. But coming back to speaking here, three philosophies. Then after that, the part that I enjoy the most, which is building the tool, I will talk about what such a tool can do and how I've structured it, and then live build. We actually build it together from scratch using Claude. Okay, so this is the approach. Financial expertise or the domain expertise must come first. AI is a tool that builds the tool. Can I say that one more time? Huh? The financial expertise, which is the deep financial expertise, the domain expertise must come first. And what that means, the philosophies, the frameworks, the judgment. A human advisor who is new can learn from others, can learn from reading books, can learn from online videos. Someone who's done it many years and done it in different ways, slice the same message multiple ways for different people. Some of these things you gain over a long period of time, right? Having that, now if you do it with a functional AI tool, you use AI software like Claude, they will help you to generate all the scenarios faster. You explain your thinking, you generate it, you build it in minutes actually. And I'm actually talking about, as I'm talking about this, I remember again this friend of mine, the financial advisor, other trainer that I work with. I think he's talking about somewhere around like every night for a few weeks or a few months, right? Where he'll go back and he'll refine his Excel spreadsheet. Uh, because we had I had him over in my place, he was explaining to me how he used to do some of his sort of framework building and all that. When I heard it, I thought it was very laborious. It's really, really tough work. He's put in the hard work, and that's why he's so good at what he does as a financial advisor. But it's really tough work, right? Once I showed him the AI tool, he realized that actually, yeah. Uh, Long story short, he started using Claude as well. Okay. So coming back to this one, philosophy number one, risk-adjusted returns. I think this is something that financial advisors will understand this quite readily. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I do have my own investments, so some of these things are very so how should I put it, very familiar to me. I'm not an expert. I'm not giving advice on that, but I know what's a Sharpe ratio. I know that it's really gone up quite a lot. Volatility, VIX, all those things. These are possible ways to measure risk. Expense ratio. So how much does it cost? Beyond the invested amount and the returns that you expect, you also have to cost in the expense. And then, of course, worst case scenario from the peak, if you ended at a number that turned out to be a peak and goes all the way down to the trough, how much are you looking at the worst case scenario kind of loss? So this one philosophy, you can don't try to chase the returns, but simply measure what you're risking. So you sort of like, based on this amount of risk, this is the amount of returns I expect. Whether is it acceptable or not? So this is one first version as I understand it. The second one is a bit more common. I guess this is the one where you talk about asset allocation, you talk about dollar cost averaging, you talk about basically investing over a period of time so that you slowly diversify both in terms of time, but also in terms of the different types of sort of like allocation. You might slowly shift perhaps from a very conservative to a more balanced portfolio over time as you go through the different stages of life. You may say I'm more aggressive in my youth because I think that I have the time horizon um, to have more of the equities, do the work. Bonds maybe lesser, so that could be a very aggressive stance. You might be thinking, hey, you know what? Bonds are clearly at its peak now, right? I'm very conservative, but putting 55% of my money into bonds at a time where the yields are really not looking like it will change in a positive way may not make sense. So whatever it may be, how to allocate those eggs, you're not going to put everything in one, right? So I think that's sufficiently obvious by now for most people. But how exactly do you start to calculate all this quickly for your client? So if you are an advisor trying to try to tell your clients that, hey, it could be a very bad year, and 2026 and the rest of this decade is very likely to, by all indications, turn out to be one of the worst investment years. Like it's not just like in this one right at the bottom, sticking through a bad year. You could be talking about sticking through a bad decade, right? So this year is going to be particularly bad in terms of investment. But if your allocation is one that is looking at diversification as a goal, and you're very clear about the risk appetite, time horizon, and all that, um, as an advisor, then you can maybe explain this to your client and you can play out the different scenarios, and that will be helpful for them to decide, is this the right approach? Do they want to shift? Do they want to move the baskets around? And you can build an app. If that's the way you usually want to do it, you can build an app that helps them to look at the different scenarios. Okay, so this is philosophy two. Again, philosophy one was risk adjusted returns. The second one is diversification by your asset allocation. Then the next one, we'll just move on to the next one here, Monte Carlo stress testing, right? So this is the one that is really tough to do multiple simulations, especially if you're manually doing it, right? Here we're looking at simulating the different possibilities and different returns for different scenarios when we adjust different numbers. And that's where you have all the percentages come out, right? So we're talking about how likely you're going to have perhaps all your money because of the range of returns maybe over 30 years, and you see this really nice spread curves that sort of open up, right? What's the chance of having all the money run out, by the time you reach your retirement? From what I understand, again, even when you plan for a scenario that is high risk, high return, um, and there is a chance that maybe you're on a very sway lah. Okay, Singaporean, we put it very sway. You're on the path that is looking like you're going to lose all your money. That doesn't mean that it's a definite thing. It's not a certainty. You can still adjust it along the way. But every time you adjust, it's a lot of running of a lot more simulation. Maybe the simulation curve will become narrower over time. Uh, but it's a lot of work to do, right? Again, using AI will help you to be able to run those simulations at the higher rate. You can run it more often, iterate more often, and hopefully that gives you more ways to think about it. Whenever I think of this, I think of like how you remember Avengers, right? That scene where Doctor Strange went through 14 million different scenarios and ultimately said one, right? That one scenario that allowed them a chance of victory over Thanos, right? It's the same thing here. You're basically trying to simulate a lot of possibilities, and hopefully that it gives you a better idea of what are the likely choices you can make now or at the different junctures of your life, to then plan for the worst, but also hope for the best and give yourself a higher chance. So three different philosophies, three different ways of thinking about it. Um, how then could we use that and how are we going to build it? So in a moment, I'm going to switch from the slides here. We're going to go into the Claude build. But I just want to very quickly recap. We are looking at three different possibilities, three different sequence. The philosophies themselves become the feature. The first one is to compare the funds, right? If you're just doing it just entirely by giving people the different funds, and then okay, we're going to adjust the Sharpe ratio, the kind of within the funds itself, how do they allocate, what are the volatility, maybe some has a bit more exposure to the emerging markets, and maybe some has really, really high risk items inside that have a very high risk of drawdown. So that could be one way you can create an app that compare the different funds. The second one, you can build a portfolio and then adjust. This is the one where you have different sliders. And I'm imagining it. Haven't seen the actual tool because I haven't built it. I want to save it for our conversation today, right? The second one, you can have different sliders. I imagine that's how you build it. And then the last one will be stress test, right? So really looking at stress testing out. Okay, what if I have this allocation number? What do you get in terms of the likely chance of success? Okay, so this is a tool in its holistic way that will allow us to look at all three philosophies. We can also take one at a time, but it's like three in one, but you can have all three at one go or one at a time. So that's the idea. Now, what we're going to do it, there are going to be two ways. I'm looking at the time very closely. I'm going quite fast today. I will start with Claude Cowork, and tell you a bit more about what Cowork is. But if we have the time today, I would really like to go and maybe see if we can even deploy it on Claude Code. Okay, Claude Code allows you to build an app that's a bit more persistent. It's easier to share across different people. Both of them you can share, but Claude Cowork, you will probably share it using maybe just an HTML file, right? Whereas the Claude Code, you can even deploy it on a URL, share it with a client, and then let them fill in the numbers. When they come back to you, they have some better idea. Of course, they can also be used by other financial advisors in your team lah. Okay, so with that in mind, I mean this is the uh, process. We're gonna go and discuss about this thing called a PRD soon, and then from there we'll go to a working tool, right? So this is the building process. So what is a PRD? It's basically a very techy term called product requirements document. And so what you need in the product, what you require in the product, put in the document, that's all. Okay, we're going to do a live demo soon. But remember, just a quick recap, I just want to run through this very quickly. The tool itself is not supposed to replace the advisor. The tool itself can give the advisors the superpowers. I really think of it as superpowers. You are compressing, I wouldn't say just hours, it can even be days of manual analysis into barely minutes, okay, or even a few hours. If you can compress 2 weeks work into a few hours, that means the rest of the time you get to spend it with your client, sitting down with them, really listening to what they need, really understanding what their concerns are. Frankly, the tools, most people wouldn't be too worried about the tools. They're going to assume that the person, which is you, that the person that they're speaking to, the advisor they're speaking to is trustworthy, right? That you have done your homework. So in a way, I see this as a superpower that allows you to do the homework faster, so you can do the hard work of listening to the people that you're working with. If you do that well, I think with a tool like that, you clearly will be able to advise better. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing here and I'm going to switch over to the tool. Let me take a moment and see. Okay, still no questions coming in. I'm having my eyes on the YouTube video once in a while, just to make sure that I'm also replying to messages there. Okay, now I'm going to go to Claude, and you're going to see on my screen, this is the Claude Cowork interface. I've used Claude Cowork at the start of today, basically to prepare for the session. And at the end of the preparation, I basically have had 3 items that I built up, right? So today I've had the PowerPoint, which you've seen the PowerPoint. The second one is the philosophy behind my portfolio risk assessment. So like I said earlier, if you don't know something, but you're willing to take the time and effort to learn it, you can actually ask Claude to teach you, not line by line. I'm not talking about chat, one line by one line. We're talking about producing a full document to explain all these things to you. Right, so philosophy number one, for example, we're talking about risk-adjusted returns here. Risk-adjusted returns, how do you compare it fairly? Philosophy two, just to recap, diversification and asset allocation. How do you combine it wisely? So diversification means you combine different things together. Monte Carlo is to see whether it can survive reality, right? So you can do it one by one. You can do it all as a sequence. Or you can combine them together to stress test against different thousands of possible scenarios, different futures. So all these things here, you see, we're starting to go into the weeds, starting to go into the details now, right? The philosophy, what does it mean? What is the core idea? I'm not going to read out line by line, because why, right? I've actually incorporated all this knowledge into the PRD. So you see, we have key metrics, we have the core idea, and why does it matter on for advisors, right? Then the philosophy too, same thing, core idea, key concepts, and what's the role of the advisor. Stated versus emotional risk tolerance. Someone might say I'm very aggressive, but the reality is, market drop 10%, they're gonna panic sell everything. Market recovers, they're not gonna be there to receive the benefits of that. Okay, Monte Carlo, I'm not gonna go through it, but it's the same thing, simulation. And at the end of this process, now that I have the 3 philosophies, right? There's another page that connects the 3 philosophies. All this was not typed out by me, right? I ask it to teach me and then come up with 3 philosophies. I believe I have the instruction at the front here. Yeah, so here for the philosophies, I actually had a course a course portfolio that I put in. But I said, hey, no. Let me tell you, meaning I wanted Claude to tell me what are the philosophies, what should be good philosophy. So I was open, I learned from it. I said, okay, tell me the philosophies that I should learn. And then it started telling me about the different ones and came back to me, asked me which are the 2 to 3 philosophies I want the tool to anchor on. I said, no, I'm not the expert, use the most boring ones. I mean, at least this one I know. The most exciting thing about investing should be about collecting the returns at the end of your investment cycle. The investment itself shouldn't be too exciting. I remember someone explaining this to me. If it's boring, if it's very predictable, actually that's a better likelihood of success, right? Better to keep it boring. I generally like things exciting, so I'm willing to step back and say I'm not the expert, use the most boring ones. Okay, so they gave me these 3 philosophies, and that's where after a bit of nudging, because the system stopped sometimes, eventually it gives me the 3 deliverables, which I'm now going to talk about the last deliverable. So you've seen my slide, you've seen the report that teaches me the philosophy. Now we're going to talk about the building. Okay, I asked for 3 items from the PowerPoint slide, the philosophy, basically the learning. And last but not least, this is going to look a bit scary when it loads. It's the PRD, product requirement document. Okay, use it with Cloud Code or Cowork. I'm going to start with Cowork first. Cowork's a bit slower sometimes. Now, this whole document, you can read it once through if you want to. It basically summarizes everything we said so far. Right? Feature number 1, fund comparison. Okay, maybe PIMCO, Allianz, income and growth. There's a Cloud Code prompt. There's a Cowork prompt. You can read them, okay? And then you can ask it to build maybe a prompt using this. Build a feature using this. Feature number 2, again, you can read it. Cloud Code has prompt, Cowork has this prompt. I actually don't think I want to read every single one. You don't have to do it that way. You just do a sense check, which is what I'm doing now. Sense check, okay, roughly there. It's not quite there yet because now it's one big document that combines the Cloud Code and the Cowork. So let's do something different. I'm going to download everything and I'm going to ask Cowork to do the work for me. Okay, let me show you what it means. So I'm going to download it first onto my downloads folder here. Okay, I'm going to start a session in Cowork. Okay, let's say I do one in just a different folder, maybe under downloads, the new folder for portfolio just for this evening. Okay. And I allow it. So Claude co-work, right, as I discovered over the weekend, it works really entirely in a folder on your laptop. What I meant is over the weekend, I basically decided to clean house, clean up my space a little bit. I deleted one of the biggest, heaviest folder that Claude was using. I was thinking to myself that, hey, why is it using so much data, like 21 gigabytes in one folder? And there's nothing that tells me what's inside the folder. I asked Claude, should I delete it? I learned a lesson. That folder was actually the folder where all of my co-work materials was actually in. So my work from the last 2 weeks, so it's only 2 weeks, but all the 2 weeks work is all inside there and it's all gone. But thankfully, I was able to restore a lot of what I needed. So not a big problem. And also a lot of it I actually saw in my head and also on another platform called GitHub. Not a big problem, but I learned that actually it does really store all the content and work on the content on my laptop. Okay. For advisors working with confidential information of large amount of documents that you don't want to send to a cloud service, this is actually your best option. Okay, we can talk a bit more about that if you come for my course. I think we have another course run in April. We are going to be talking about how to use Claude to do some coding work in that session. I think Kyra will probably share a bit more details after this. So if you come for that course, I will show you exactly how to you keep the information on your laptop. If you have sensitive information, how do you redact it? How do you cover or cut out those information? Although to be frank, I'm at that point now where I think even if you redact with a physical, like some of the apps allow you to redact, I don't think it's very difficult to remove the redacting, right? So nowadays, a lot of these tools are a bit too powerful, but nevertheless, I think it gives you enough power to work if you work very responsibility, if you work very responsibly, it gives you a lot of power to be very, very helpful to your clients. Okay, enough of that. I'm going to show you now. This is the PRD that you saw once through. It's the portfolio risk tool, the PRD, the build guide. Okay, so what I do now, always start by saying read this first. Okay, read this first. Um, that is an instruction to say reading without working. Right? Don't start building everything. Sometimes it stops there. Sometimes it will start building. The really good thing about co-work is it's okay. You can let it run. You can actually do this thing where you queue up different messages. You can see from the bottom, on my bottom, right, that the orange button turns on. If I'm in chat, meaning the top left-hand side, if I'm in the chat function, every time I say something, I have to stop, wait for the whole answer to be generated. Then I can have the orange arrow come out again, as you can see here. Then we can continue one more time. Okay. You can work basically for co-work and code. You can work in parallel with the device. So as it builds something, as it shows you a preview, you don't like it, you can say, hey, can you change this color? Can you change to that? Now, I'm going to start doing my work now. So if you can see, let me use the screen size a little bit. It has the 3 features here. It also realizes that it has prompts for co-work and code. Okay, so I'm going to say, I'm working on Claude co-work here, so I don't need you to build the Claude code feature. Can we perhaps just build the full React app with Claude co-work, and let's just see whether Claude co-work over here is able to build the app as you have analyzed from the PRD. Okay, so what I've just done is I've used an app called Whisper Flow. Whisper Flow is amazing. It's basically a voice to text, and it cleans up the words you say to some extent, but it doesn't know everything. So for example, over here, co-work, I need to change it back. Co-work. Okay, let me just do the housekeeping. Okay, so I'm just saying that I don't want it to look at everything for Claude Code. Now it's running the features. I'm going to throw in another one. Again, I don't have to wait. I can just keep throwing. So I think I'm going to get you to continue working here. Keep building the features. So let me see whether I can have this three tab React app be in a way that's very easy to use. I want it to be a demo app. I want people to be able to try it. I also want any financial advisor to be able to understand this quite instinctively. So maybe other than the 3 feature tabs, can we also have maybe one big thing at the top that explains how the app works, like a narrative or some kind of onboarding guide? Okay, so I've verbally explained what I want. And you can see this is my thinking. I immediately queue it in. It's still building, and you can see from the right-hand side, right? It's building the fund comparison tab, building the second feature, third feature in sequence. That's the plan. but I sort of like threw in another spanner. Okay, I want you to also think of an onboarding guide. So this is now me thinking as I'm imagining as the app appears out, I can start to say I want to build it differently. Okay, I'm going to leave it here for a moment and let it continue. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open up the PRD. You can't see it on this screen because I'm just sharing the Claude screen. But the PRD, I'm going to copy the whole PRD and I'm going to go over to the, let me just open up a new session. I'm actually going to go over to Claude Code, right? So Claude Code, you can work on cloud, you can work on the local device. So I'm going to try working on the local device. And in this case, going back to the downloads folder, portfolio folder, I'm going to create a new folder within portfolio. And this is the app Claude, okay, Claude code app folder. Okay, I'm going to create a new folder. So this is just for me to work on my local device. Today, I will not show you how to go from an app on your local device all the way to a fully deployed app. And I think we may or may not have the time, but I want to start off the process first. So I'm going to see if I can share my screen properly, just for a minute to show my entire screen. Okay, so now you can see that I'm currently sharing my Claude code. Here is the PRD in a Word document, right? So it's the exact same thing, copying everything. Don't need to worry about having to, sort of like screen one word or the other. Just try and select everything. For some reason, I can't select all. Not sure why. Okay, let me try it another way. Okay, let's just do this manually. I think for some reason, I'm not able to copy it. Okay, never mind. Let me go back to Claude. The chat. I think I was back here. Okay, I think here I should be able to copy everything. Okay, so what I'm doing now, co-work is still working in the background. I am not stopping that. Give me the PRD as a markdown document. Okay. It's not working. I have just gotten a new laptop. My Word Microsoft Word hasn't been updated in a way that allows me to copy. Like you all can see here, I can select, but the option to copy is just not there. So I'm switching back to Claude. I'm asking it to give me the PRD, but now as a markdown document. Now, a markdown document is actually the most common type of files that anyone using the coding they will use, because it basically strips out all the nice parts, all the color that you see taken up, all the different font types taken up, bold, italics, all that taken up. It will just give it back to you in this format, right? This format, which is the boring format, but it's everything you need. So all the stars over here, it basically says the prompt and instruction for building this tool, which is the bottom part. The two stars refer to it as italics, right? So everything that you see over here in all its format, it basically is the same document, except that it's presented in a way that is text, so it's easier to copy and paste. That's all it is, nothing fanciful. Okay, it looks like it's done. And if I can review the code behind it, that's how it looks like. Okay, I can copy this part here now, back to Claude code, and paste everything in. I can see everything is there. Okay, I go back to the top, and I say, please build this risk assessment tool using the below PRD and build guide. So that's all I say, please build this using the PRD. Okay, I will remove all the extra parts. All this is not needed. So starting from overview, which if I can just show you one more time. Starting from the overview, it's basically all of starting from overview here, it's all these things, all the different prompts, the feature 123, feature 123, including the tables, all of that I've now put into here. Okay, I press enter, I'm going to let it run. The really cool thing about Claude Code and Claude Co-work is that, okay, you're going to require to allow it to have access. Okay, the really cool thing is that both code and co-work are actually just code, right? Claude Code. But Claude Co-work allows you to work on files. So 𝐭𝐫𝐞 is useful. It looks a little bit easier to understand. As you can see, the work is already done. But it doesn't go as deep. Chat is even more shallow. So if you go to chat and they say, okay, um, can we just try building this tool using Claude Chat? Okay, something like that. Okay, you're gonna find that you'll build the tool a lot faster, but it's a lot simpler and maybe give you less scope to change. Okay, so now it's gonna build it as a React artifact. Okay, we'll come back to this in a moment. We go to 𝐭𝐫𝐞. 𝐭𝐫𝐞 is finished. Let's open the tool. But there you go. You got your three things. You can compare the funds. For example, over here, you can see it's able to choose the different funds, the different time frame, and you can compare. All this, of course, you'll be uploading the data beforehand, pre-existing information, right? And then it can give you a sense of the risk return. Fairly static, but it's good enough to give you a sense of the sort of different expected annualized returns based on today, based on current numbers, right? Then you can compare, let's say, feature number 2, the second tab, which is the risk portfolio and the risk profile and the portfolio. How old are they? Are they maybe 45 with a horizon of another 20 years? They're expecting to invest for another 20 years, hit 65, then they start to cash out a little bit more. If portfolio drop, will you buy more? Maybe they'll hold and wait, maybe sell a little bit. Unlikely people say, I'll sell everything, but that could be the reality, right? So that people will panic sell everything. So each one of these pretty interesting. You can put in the numbers and you can get a sense of what's the risk profile, right? Maybe someone is buying more, change it. You see, there's a mismatch. They are moderate conservative, but their emotional response aligns with which is to buy more aggressive. So all of this, you're gonna start to be able to adjust. Okay, mismatch, maybe very aggressive. Now it's more aggressive. So each one of these gives you a chart that you can very quickly assess whether this is good for you as an advisor to be using this with your clients, right? And stress test, same thing. This one, I hope it can generate the simulations. Yeah, there you go. It runs all the simulations for you. Let's say I want to do more simulations, add another zero. Maybe time horizon than 5 years. Equities, say it's 45%. And this is 45, and the last one is 10. Okay, so run the simulation. Does it run the simulation? Or did I go too far? Actually, no, the simulation was run almost instantaneously. Did you see the ruin probability change quite quickly? Perhaps if I reduce the amount withdrawal, that goes to 0. If I add another one more 0 at the end, let's say I go 50,000 simulation, ruin. Like you see, I can do anything. And then you get a sense of the different things that change. Maybe I don't want so many simulations, I just want 2,000. Okay, your range will change a little bit at the 0. Right? Doesn't change too much. Right? I think after 10,000 or so, after 1,000, it actually doesn't change too much. Okay, so this is your Claude code version. And in my mind, this tree, okay, is useful independently. There's a guide at the top which tells me how to use it. The guide also can be clicked on to go to the different parts. But it doesn't really pull it all together as one. So now I'm going to give an instruction and then we go to Claude code in a bit. Okay, I think this is almost there, but in my mind, how I would like this to do to be able to be really useful for me is to be able to perhaps have an upload button somewhere on the fund comparison, so I can upload the latest funds that are out there. Maybe they've given a different what do you call that? Different portfolio, they given different performance expectations, and I want to have an upload button somewhere, and then you will upload, you will then take my uploaded document and you will maybe upload the funds, the list of funds and all that. Okay, that's the first thing. Other than that, I think that the risk profile and portfolio, it's almost there, but I can't really tell. Perhaps can we add a few expected sort of life expectancy numbers? Perhaps we can add a bit of CPF as well. I don't know whether we can include CPF into the calculation for the investment. Maybe the investment is a CPF, maybe it's cash. I don't see that variety here. Let's put that in. And last but not least, stress test. I tried it with more than 1,000, with 10,000 scenarios. It doesn't seem to change the number a lot, doesn't seem to change the variance a lot. Is there a way to maybe tell me or the users, right, what's a good number of stress tests, number of simulations? And last but not least, if it's possible, I want to have one last tab, a new tab, tab number 4 that gives me a report that compares my funds, my risk portfolio, risk profile, and the stress test, and put it all together as a PDF that I can download, I can read slowly on my weekends. Okay, so all of that, as you see, I was typing using the voice to text. Okay, so it's typed it out already. I'm going to put it in. This will take some time to run. So Claude Cowork will do it really fast compared to human doing it, but it will still take time to work. So with that, I'm going to go over to code and see, oh, okay, Claude Code actually got stuck. I probably should have checked in a bit earlier. So why is it stuck? It will ask for permission quite regularly. I'm going to give it permission, and it looks like it's able to understand what I have. It's trying to set up the project. Actually, this one I should have come back earlier. There's really a lot of steps that it could have done, if not because I didn't give all the permissions. So I'm going to wait here a little bit, see whether they're going to give me more permission requests. But you can see it's not too different from what they have in the other versions where I was building it with Claude Cowork. Okay, Cowork gives the same kind of thing, but here you get a little bit of technical terms like Byte or Tailwind, React. Don't worry too much about all that. Right? There's just different ways of showing how the app will be run. Okay. If you're planning to deploy this, meaning deploy is a very fancy word for saying push from here, put it on the website. People click on the link, they go to the website. If you want to deploy it, then that gets a bit trickier. It is not rocket science, but there's a bit of learning there, and that's the stuff that I'll cover during the course. I think it's a 2-day course in April. If you're interested to build something like that for yourself, you want to maybe even build it and then sell it. That one it's not something you can take 1 hour and then be able to do it. But definitely something I think in 2 days with I like using a MacBook with a sufficiently powerful MacBook or Windows PC. You can learn the skills on how to build the app, then deploy it, run testing, run verifications, maintaining it over time. How do you add additional features? All that can be done, right? But it's not difficult, okay, especially with Claude nowadays. Okay, what you can see here is in Claude Code, the whole thing has started working in its background. It's checking out the list. I love that. It's actually building one at a time now. What it's doing, this is actually your agentic workflow happening, right? I've given one set of instructions, very long set of instructions. I have then, and the instruction, I didn't type it out. I simply reason it out, right? So now you're going to see that as a human being, my thinking is a lot more important, right? So you can, let me see whether there's anything to preview. Yeah, so nothing is coming out yet. So when the preview comes out, we'll start viewing it together. Okay. My thinking is more important than the time I spend coding it up. The rest of it is really agentic because it's planning its own plan, it's executing its own plan. Bash over here, it's creating its own code and running its own code. In fact, you can see it's not just one code, it's running a lot of packages, 36 different packages, basically different code packages, right? And over here, there are 4 different files. They created more files. Files that are created, they will be used to create more files. All that is happening autonomously, right? You don't have to worry about all this. They will build the features now. It seems like, let me just check here. They are making good progress. They're going to build the 3 feature components. I'm going to leave it to run. It stopped asking me for permissions. So I'm going to leave it to run. I'll come back to this in a bit. I'm going to cowork. Okay, cowork. Cowork's taking a bit longer time. I've given quite a long requirement this. Let me just show it here one more time. I wanted an upload button. That's my first thing, upload button. Second thing, I wanted to add CPF into the whole risk profile and portfolio. I wanted to add in life expectancy number. So quite a bit of changes here. The stress test, I wanted to teach me or teach the users what's a good number of stress tests. So that's a third feature. And it's not stated in my original PRD. And then last but not least, I want something that combines it all together, gives it to me as a PDF. I can download, I can read. Okay, so it's thought process. If you read into it, it's actually deciphering what I said. I use a natural language over here. I said basically just spoke my mind. I want an upload button. Okay. Here, not only did it get it correct, it says upload a document with CSV file with the fund data. They actually write it in much lesser words. So if lesser words are used, it's a lot faster for the data to be processed, for the whole thing to be run. Same thing for here, CPF. They also went into detail. CPF, OA, SA, all that. Monte Carlo gives guidance. Okay, PDF report. So they understood my plan. I'm gonna write it in this way. And then they give a bit of praise. Occasionally, I also praise them. Both praise AI. AI praise me, I praise them. But it doesn't go overboard. Right? I think it's just it will also push back and tell you, those are actually not very useful. Maybe this is a bit too difficult. Maybe this is very easy to build, but it's useless. Right? We won't use the word useless, but sometimes I do get pushback in that way. Okay, so all that is continuing. Okay, what we're talking, we actually finished the work. So tab number 1, fund comparison, now has upload. Now tab number 2 has CPF and life expectancy. Tab number 3 has guidance and a new tab, client report. Let's look at it. Okay, not too bad. I can see the font guide here. There's a guide that can be hidden, guide at the top. Okay. So let's say, there you go. You have an upload button now. Okay, just because I don't have the data ready, I'm just gonna still choose. Okay, I choose a few. And I move to risk profile, let's say 55. Female. Okay, immediately I can see the life expectancy. Okay, remaining years 32. Let's say I'll put it as 12 years of investment, 20 years of drawing it now. No more emojis. That's okay. I wasn't hoping to keep the emojis. It would have been cute. But let's say if you drop 25%, okay, I'm a very aggressive profile. Somewhere around here, maybe because median income is pretty high. Investment source is cash and CPF. Cash. Let's assuming this is someone with the money. Maybe 320. I'm not sure whether you go to 320. So this is 125. Okay, this is not very good because you should allocate more to the SA by default. Okay, OA, if you have a lot of OA, you should push it to SA. So maybe that's another area to assess whether that person can reallocate better. Okay, so this is all there. Okay. Stress test. Okay, let's just run a simulation as per what they say here. Okay. Down 996. How many should I use? They start to teach me after 10,000 diminishing returns rarely needed. Okay, let's cut it down. Maybe 5,000. Since it's saying that I don't need so many, right? So I run. Okay, data is all there. Last but not least, let's try the last one. Generate the report. See, it's all done. So based on the earlier 3 tabs, I now have another tab that gives me the whole report. Color also not too bad. Of course, I can, if I want, I can say I want it only in black and white because my printer is only black and white. That's entirely possible. Yeah, so that's that. Looks like it's okay. I think I just want to check that it actually prints. I click on the button. Control P. It doesn't print here. Let me see if it prints in Safari. Cannot open. So this one here, it's not working 100%. I need to go back and fix it a little bit more. Probably need to download it and then open up the code. Need to deploy it somewhere. Right? In theory, it's almost there, but the printing function didn't work. So everything else is okay except the printing. Okay, come to code. Okay, I had to give it permission one more time. This one here might take a little bit longer. As you can see, I haven't done a lot of work since just now. But I'm going to pause here a little bit and maybe while I am giving permissions, actually it's running. It's actually starting to run. It's starting to build on, if you can see on the screen, it's starting to build on one side. It's starting to show me the development. This is how people normally build. This is actually my first time using an IDE interface where you can see what you're building. And in fact, on the left-hand side, it's also testing it out. It's testing, it's building and all that. So, yeah. I want to pause here and go back to my slides from start of the session. I'll let this complete, but I just wanted to recap one more thing before we go back, right? That the tool itself should not replace the advisor. And early on, if you remember, I started by saying that I really wanted to show that ultimately for me, right? I'm not an expert. I'm using the philosophies which Claude taught me, but as an advisor, each one of you will have your own philosophy. So that part is up to you, it's personal. But the tool itself, which I'm using Claude today, it can be a different tool. The Claude tool accelerates your building process, right? So whichever philosophy you use doesn't matter. I've chosen this where the three philosophies, the most boring ones, boring because in my mind, too exciting means up and down may not be that useful for a lot of investors. Again, my philosophy. So everyone can have their own philosophy, be their own tool, right? So what does the tool do? What the tool does is this tree, put them together, and as you can see just now, I added another feature to combine it all together. Entirely up to you, right? We build it, but the key takeaway you should have from today is that this thing gives you superpowers. It does not take away the most important part of your job, which is to talk to the clients. Spend the time listening to the clients. The clients say they are very aggressive, but you hear based on the words they actually use, maybe moderate aggressive, not that aggressive, right? So when the drawdown happens, they might be more reticent to make big moves, right? So all those things you can pick up because you have listened to the client, not because you spend time to build a good tool, right? So that is my sort of a key takeaway. I want to leave it here. Before I hand the time back to Kyra, I will do a quick check here. It seems like the app has almost finished running. I wanted to maybe just double check. It comes out slightly different from how the Claude Code will do it. Claude Code tends to be a bit better in my view. Let me compare the two apps side by side. So you see, earlier on when we're comparing the funds versus, so you got this sort of a format, really limited. It's using this way from top to the bottom. Here, preview button, quite similar, but they put it sideways, and then it's just a stylistic choice. Sharp ratio, if that's the most important one, they also put a summary at the bottom. And over here, risk profile, okay, they kept the image, same numbers here, stress test, right? All very similar, but I can see that the quality of this is slightly better. Here, when does the depletion happen, right? I probably can also add in the same prompt, which is this long form over here. Can bring it over here and say the exact same thing and let it run. So over time, later you see that the same improvement, meaning a fourth tab will be added, maybe the uploading of the CSV file, downloading and printing as a PDF, all those things which we put in, right? It will slowly add on. Okay, we're not going to do it now. I don't think it's going to happen in the next few minutes. But as a recap, again, the tool is very fun for me to build. For me to teach you how to build. If you come in April, I'll show you how to build this or any other tool that you want. But this is not the key part of a financial advisor's job. Key part of financial advisor job ultimately is still about working with the client. This is the part that once you do it, it's useful. You learn it. You do it one time. You hopefully don't have to keep coming back to it. Okay. So anyway, with that, I think I'll pause it here. I'll leave it. And I will check with Kara if any questions. Okay, I'm trying to see quite a bit of questions coming in. Kara, should I just go and jump into the YouTube questions first, or do you have any?
Yes, please. You can go on.
Okay, so I'm seeing one. Okay, so the Whisper Flow, there's this app here. So basically, you can get it by going to this link. This is my link. I give people the link. They get 1 month free. I get 1 month free. Or you can just simply search for Whisper, spelled as WISPR. So you look at my screen at the top, WISPR Flow. Okay, so that's the first app. Very useful because I can dictate and get what I want. Sheila, you mentioned you like to use Claude to give you a trade signal on investment. Definitely possible, but it's out of what I'm able to do. If I'm doing it just like your question, I will actually just ask Claude to teach me how to do it, set it up, watch some videos, and then test with a small amount of money. But it's definitely possible to build a tool like that. I didn't go through the features, but there are features like the schedule feature over here. So you can actually run things on schedule. So you don't have to go in and activate the signal every now and then. You can actually just do it once, set it up every 1 week, it will come back with all the research done. Okay. Sheila said usual AI will tell me that they're not supposed to advise me on investment. Uh, Claude is more like a developer's app sometimes. It will tell you the same refrains and all that. You can actually get around it. Basically by saying that I do know my stuff. I just need you to explain it to me in a way that's more technical. I can handle it. And once you demonstrate that you can handle it, Claude will likely give you what you need. That's my experience. They won't just stop it there. Okay, Eric asked, what about generating a daily report to send to clients? Definitely possible. Okay, or to summarize my client's current portfolio, given that the current market is so volatile, I want to use it to calm them down. I think that's actually quite a good idea. Generating a daily report, summarizing their portfolio. These are things that maybe in the past would take you hours to do. Uh, what I would do is maybe just very quickly, it's not quite the scope of what we covered today, but I will create a folder where I put in some of this information. I will connect it maybe to something else. So this one is a bit more advanced, but I can add a folder, I can add connectors. Connectors basically go and look at the live information. Like for example, I can use Claude in Chrome, where it will navigate to, let's say, the different portfolio, the latest numbers. It will automatically on a schedule pull all the data together, put it in the portfolio folder. Right? All that can be combined together. You just need to structure it out. Then your client's current portfolio, the daily report generation, all that can be done. Okay, just as an example here, can you help me to plan to go into Claude in Chrome regularly to pull up Tesla and Google and Microsoft stock numbers? I have 500 shares in each of those companies. I basically want to set up a schedule where every day you pull up those numbers and tell me what's my current portfolio value in US dollars on that day. Right? So something like that, you can put in the numbers. You want like 500 shares, the different stocks you want, and it will run it basically on a schedule. So then you can generate. I want this to be generated as a report, a single one-page report for me every day as a PDF. So I can download it, read it on my way to work. Okay, so again, you can just throw what you need. Okay, so that's the they have some question about timing. Okay, let's just wait for the question. It will most likely ask time of day exactly 8 a.m. That's all. Answer the questions. You've got more questions, you can ask more questions. It will be done. Okay, cool, Eric. Pretty good. As you can see on my screen, it's all setting it up. I can see that it was helpful to let you see that. I don't see more questions coming in, so I'm going to stop here and maybe check with Kyra. Do you think there's anything else I should be running through?
Yeah, I think that's all for tonight. I guess whatever that you have shared today is just a glimpse of what you will cover in the 2-day course. So guys, thank you for staying with us for the last 1 hour. We have come to the end of our community YouTube live stream. And so whoever wants to become the superpower advisors, so Haojun will be conducting a 2-day course on 28 and 29 of April. So the course is very practical, and we can assure you that by the end of the course, you will build your own prototype to help you to become a superpower advisor. So as usual, Finity's course has no fluff, it's very practical, it's immediately applicable, it's hands-on to guide you step by step, and most important is enjoyable. So you will discover a lot of new discoveries that will give you a lot of aha moments. And most important is we want you to help you to position you as a trusted advisors and radically help you to transform your financial practice, especially leveraging in the era of AI. So the usual price for the course is 2,000. So today we will open up the first 10 participants. For anyone who is signing up, you're eligible to enjoy our early bird as low as $500 only. And if you are an NTUC member, you can reimburse back $250. And so guys, technically you are only paying $250 for 2 days, 2,000 worth of course designed for financial professionals not for consumers. Yeah, so it is targeted to help you to transform your financial practice. Yeah, okay, so with that said, I just want to wrap up again with what Haojun has shared earlier. AI doesn't replace advisors, it empowers you to become a superpower advisors. So if you don't keep up, sooner or later, AI will replace the person who leverage AI better. So if you want to level up today, don't wait and grab the early bird rate right now. You can contact me, Kyra, once again. And with that said, please help me to thank Haojun for sacrificing his rest time after 21 kilometers of running in marathon in Vietnam. And he can make it for today just to help you, to share a lot of insights on how to use Claude AI to build your prototype. Yeah, thank you for staying true for so many episodes, Haojun. I really appreciate you. And I hope to invite you
Thank
once again to be our featured speaker. I
Thanks
wish
so much
everyone
for
have
this
a restful
opportunity.
night. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Kara.
Good night, everyone. So yeah.